We're going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner. I got to go bold, right? I got to go bold for this.
Yeah, she's got some nice.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Barron. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're out there on YouTube, and also rate the show 5 stars everywhere that you get your podcast. Bears fans, we did it. It's time to celebrate, everybody. We got Ben frickin' Johnson. Let's go. As soon as, let me know what you guys did as soon as you heard the news. I was doing like what most of us were doing. I was watching, what was it? The Windy City stuff with like Just Another Year, where they're like looking at the private jets and like, is that Ben Johnson? Is that Ben Johnson? And then when they heard, I was like, no way. And then all of a sudden I started to see like, we got Ben Johnson. We got Ben Johnson. We got Ben Johnson. And then all of a sudden I called up some people and I was like, dude, holy cow, Ben Johnson, we got him. How are we feeling? How are we feeling? I see Sean out there, Broski out there. We got Drax. We got Joe. What is good, everybody? Because, man, this feels great. This feels great that this guy was seen as, honestly, one of the most hyped up coaching candidates that we've seen since Mike Shanahan. Since when Shanahan came out, everyone was saying, Shanahan is this person that has his own system and the way that he does everything like out in Atlanta. This is the guy. And then Ben Johnson has been that guy in Detroit. And that's why today's show, I got some stats that I want to show and talk about, just kind of just backing up how amazing he has been in Detroit, but also to just talk about some of the coaching people that we might be able to bring in that we need to at least just keep an eye out for. But also to, let's just talk a little bit more about Ben Johnson, because to me, a couple things that stand out, and I've said this before, but I just want to reemphasize this because I know some people out there will say, well, we don't have Penei Sewell. We don't have, Frank Ragnow. Ben Johnson understands the importance of offensive line, and maybe we'll probably, put Ryan Poles and say, hey, I need offensive linemen. I need a good line in order to just run a good system. And the importance of offensive line, I feel like Ben Johnson is going to be pushing that out here now that he is a Chicago Bear. I don't think it's a downside that he had an amazing offensive line. I think it just adds to, hey, dude, I had this amazing offensive line and it was crazy. And it makes a difference if you have that crazy offensive line. But also, too, I wanted to bring up as well, Ben Johnson took no in-person meetings. So I guess having a team's meeting, it ended up working. And when you see some of the reports out there about people talking about Ben Johnson and all of this, a couple little pieces that I wanted to highlight out there on YouTube. You can see all of them. But Peter Schrager from the NFL Network said, little tidbit from the notebook, Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson had mutual respect for each other and shared resume bullet and connection as former graduate assistants at Boston College. Yet again, something that we've been talking about. I know a lot of fans and shows might say that Ryan Poles was a giant deterrent, when everything that we're hearing was that actually Ben Johnson actually liked him. And he must like him so much that he ends up taking the job. But Diana Rossini and many others were saying, hey, simply put, Diana Rossini said Ben Johnson picked the Bears because of the quarterback. It's that simple. And it makes sense. Like, it really does make sense that, hey, you're coming here because of the quarterback, because he believes that we have the quarterback in Caleb Williams. Yet again, like we've said when we watch the tape, there's a lot of talent that he has that you can unlock in a good system, in a one play caller rather than three different offensive coordinators in one season. Also, too, another report from Albert Breer saying the Bears' job intrigued Ben Johnson at the end of the 2023 season, but didn't come open. This year it did, and after a lot of research and meetings, Johnson has accepted the job. Also, Jaquan Brisker is all pumped up on Twitter too. And also, last little bit, Mike Martz, infamously a Chicago Bears head coach, I'm an offensive coordinator, I actually texted someone saying about Ben Johnson, saying, best I've ever seen. They're very, very fortunate. They got it right for the first time, Caleb. So that's something that I love seeing, that I love hearing. You know, Mike Martz is an innovative person, and now he also had the boneheaded idea of sending Greg Olsen away. But it's nice to see just the respect that Ben Johnson does have. And I should have actually, I kind of want to grab some interviews of Ben Johnson. He's not just a boring, like I think when people think of innovative offensive minds, they think of someone being very basic, or like just personality wise. Ben Johnson isn't, you know, Dan Campbell, but he's someone that can at least hold down a locker room. You can really, really believe this. It feels good. Like, and here's the thing I want to say too. If this doesn't work, you made the right, you go after the big fish and you get the big fish. Because, you know, if we were just trying to hit a double and just be like, let's just win some games, this is something that can set up your franchise for the future. And this is what you need to do. This is how you build championships. This is how you build the teams where you just consistently have the best coaches out there. And I'm actually going to hop over to this just because it makes sense. So I'm going to skip over the impressive stats. I'm going to go straight to the first-time head coaches because I wanted to bring this up. Because I know a lot of people, I've seen people with the concerns about first-time head coaches, but when you look at the success of first-time head coaches, they stay with the team because they're just that good. Because, you know, they're not going to get another crack at the bat because people won't let them go. When you look at just playoff teams this year, with the first-time head coaches, you have DeMeco Ryans. John Harbaugh was a first-time head coach with the Ravens. Mike Tomlin, Sean McDermott, Nick Sirianni, Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur, Dan Campbell. So you're talking about 8 right there. The ones that weren't? Sean Payton, Andy Reid, Jim Harbaugh, Dan Quinn, and Todd Bowles. And arguably, when Sean Payton was traded for, Jim Harbaugh, people didn't expect him to actually come back. And Andy Reid, it was like, okay, kind of felt like a Mike Tomlin situation where they just were like, all right, we got to split up, right? Good head coaches the great head coaches do not become available. So the fact that they're at least trying to hit this home run with the best candidate that we've seen for quite some time is something that is just great. It's absolutely great and amazing. Let me see. Y'all are out there with some comments. Let me see what y'all are saying out here as I flip back over, and then we can go through some stats. So how are we feeling out there, chat? Looking like lots and lots of good stuff. I like what Broski said. We did steal the key to the Lions' success. That's the thing, too, is the Lions, I really do feel with that, they're really going to start going downhill. We got Jamie saying bear down. We got Joe out there. We got, and Shai saying, too, obviously he did want to mold Caleb. That's the big piece. I see Sean out there. I yelled too. Literally when I saw it. Oh, so funny story. So when I saw it, I was like, no way. And my dog, who never barks, just starts barking at me because he thinks something's wrong with me. And I'm just like, no way. My dog's barking, freaking out. And so, like I said, I called, the first people I called was like my brothers and my dad. And we just start FaceTiming. And we're like, I can't believe it. My wife comes running downstairs thinking that, because one of my brothers, he's married and they might have a kid. We don't know when they would. So she thought my brother was having a baby. And I'm like, no, it's better. Bears got Ben Johnson. And she's like, oh, whatever. But no, it was awesome. It was great. Lots and lots of great stuff out there. JC saying Martz had great things to say out on 670. Yeah. And also, make sure to hit the like button out there too. Just trying to read through some of these while I'm going through. But yes, nice, good stuff. And Chris, I agree with you. I'll be bringing that up for sure. How's everyone doing? What's up, Hype Rider? See you out there, Raquel. All right, let's get this going then. So let's talk a little bit about, because we have to talk about some impressive stats because it's Ben frickin' Johnson. So this is one that was shared with by Sharp Analytics. And then I have a lot more stats that I just want to kind of throw out at you. So when you see the Lions, because I think a lot of people, they try to discredit Ben Johnson because of, well, look who he has around him. Well, if you think about the offensive coach, what ended up happening is that with Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson, before he came over, he was like a quality control coach or like quarterbacks. Like I don't have the exact piece out in front of me, but in 2021, the Lions offense was 23rd in points scored, 22nd in EPA per play. EPA per dropback was 23rd, and so obviously not good. Ben Johnson, they fire their offensive coordinator. Ben Johnson takes over, and since then, 4th in points scored in 2022, then 5th in 2023, and 1st this year. Then EPA per play was 3rd in 2022, 5th in 2023, and 3rd in 2024. Now, I will say this about EPA per play too, because then you'll see other stats out there as well where he's number 1, he's number 2. All that you have to know is that we are going to get he's a top 5 offensive mind. We're going to be seeing a top 5 offense. I remember also hearing Adam Hogue talk a little bit about this too, just the importance of EPA per play, because it's not just how many yards are you getting, it's how efficient is this offense. His offenses are ridiculously efficient and just very, very good. 3rd down avoidance, 4th this year, 5th the season before. So yeah, absolutely crazy, absolutely good. So then also too, more stats to throw at you. I don't have a pretty graphic for this one, but like I said, PFF actually has him as it's 2nd in EPA per play, but then also 2nd highest PFF grade with his team. So not only just doing well efficiently, but also getting the most out of his team. Also a fun little stat, Ben Johnson's offense has surpassed 6,400 total yards every year he's been an OC. But also in Chicago, we have never done that ever. So every single year, he's gotten more offense than we have, which you could probably assume because, you know, it's always a top 5 offense of some sort. But then other pieces too. He was also 1st in targeting the middle of the field, 1st in play action percentage, 1st in snaps under center. So we'll talk a little bit about that. 1st in motion yards and 1st in motion touchdowns. So key thing I want to just call that out is that the snaps under center. We know that a lot of quarterbacks don't know how to handle the ball under center. Now, it's not the end of the world, but it's something that I think is actually very interesting because everyone's trying to go shotgun. Everyone's trying to do that. And I know a lot of us Bears fans, we want to see more of this under center handoffs, under center plays like that. This is something that Ben Johnson likes to do. So, like we said, 1st, also with Jared Goff, without Ben Johnson versus with Ben Johnson. So this includes the Sean McVay years that he ended up winning a Super Bowl. So Goff, again, Super Bowl winning quarterback out in with the Rams. I don't think he actually won one. He went to the Super Bowl. But 258 yards per game with Ben Johnson, 267. Then his interception ratio with the Rams or before Ben Johnson was 2-1. It's 3-1 with Ben Johnson. Also passer rating went from 88.9, jumped to 103, and his QBR 47 jumps all the way up to 64. So all that you know is that Sean McVay didn't believe in Jared Goff. And Ben Johnson was able to do all this with Jared Goff. This is why it's exciting. This is why it's fun. And also I see Drax out there saying, yeah, trick play. Yeah, exactly. We're going to have some trick plays. Hey, some of them aren't pretty, but it's a lot of fun. It's just going to be just great times. I'm super pumped about it. And I think about like Amon-Ra St. Brown, kind of that playmaker type of build, very similar to like a DJ Moore. I think DJ could be having a great game, great season. But I really do think this is what we needed. This is what we wanted. Absolutely great. And it's exciting. It's exciting. So also I see a question out there. I like it. Hype Rider saying, who do you think benefits most from this hire besides Caleb? That's a good question. I now know. I thought about it and then I instantly thought of the answer. DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift benefits the most out of anybody because our running game was such crap. And then now we have someone that understands the importance of the running game. He's not just going to be throwing it a million times. He's going to want to get this running game established. And something too, because we'll talk a little bit about Caleb Williams and what he's been doing. But the thing that I am really excited about with this is the understanding of, like, we need to run the football. Now, with the Lions, they spent money for David Montgomery. They spent a high draft pick on a running back, which I'm not a big fan of, but they show the emphasis that the running game is very, very important to them. We already spent money on a running back, and now that's why I think that the person that benefits the most is Swift, because you're going to have that for sure. Drax saying, no more puddle ball. Agreed. Philip saying, Brad, what a great hire. Exactly. I am pumped. Muck, what is good? Yeah, saying still need a legit number 2 tight end. Correct. Speedy wide receiver. Yep. Love to see that for sure. That's what I'm excited about. But also we're seeing too, there's BJ's in the chat. There we go. Most fun chat that's out there, I gotta say. Oh, and I like what Chris said. Week 1, Lions versus Bears in prime time. That would be sick. That would be incredibly awesome. So yeah, I like it. I like Ben saying, Ben the Bear. Yeah, that does sound good. Constantine, what's good? Saying those starts are so promising. He could do 70%. Exactly, right? Like, if we could just do 70% of what he did, that would be amazing. Because then it's like our stats have always been so low from the offensive perspective. So to have some amazing stuff, agreed. It would be great. So now let's talk about, because one of the things that kind of got me a little bit nervous about, or the only thing, it's not like now sound the alarms about Ben Johnson. The thing that I have talked about that I'm going to be very curious to see what he does is how he assembles his coaching staff, because he's really only been with Dan Campbell. He was with Dan Campbell out in Miami. And so he really only knew the people that Dan Campbell knew. And so there isn't a giant coaching tree that he's been with. So he kind of knows how they operate, because that is something that is key, is making sure that you don't just pair up some random coordinator that he doesn't know how they work. Maybe they clash their styles. With Ben Johnson, who is he going to be hiring as coordinators? So we've already heard a little bit about who's going to be the defensive coordinator. Sounds like an absolute slam dunk that he's probably going to be this no matter what. And that's Dennis Allen, the former head coach of the Saints. So let me know, chat, how would you grade it if we got Dennis Allen, the defensive coordinator for the Saints? So for me, what I would like about it, because first off, let me just do the reports. So Adam Schefter reporting that Ben Johnson has been busy assembling a star-studded coaching staff. The leading candidate to become the defensive coordinator in Chicago is former Saints head coach Dennis Allen, per league sources. Diana Rossini backed it up and said, Lou Anarumo and Dennis Allen have both been discussing opportunities to join Ben Johnson as the defensive coordinator, depending on where he landed. So now, Lou Anarumo just took a new defensive coordinator job. Seems like Dennis Allen is going to be the guy, but also to keep in mind, Ben Johnson has been waiting to become a head coach. And when he goes inside of these interviews, they don't go, now, do you know who you want as your staff? And you go, nah. He knows who he wants to have as his staff, who he wants to bring in as kind of his first candidate, first options. And quite frankly, Dennis Allen, to me, he's not this crazy defensive coordinator. It's not like you're getting one of the top defensive coordinators out there. It's not like getting Vic Fangio with Matt Nagy, where Fangio was absolutely, one of the best defensive coordinators, still is one of the best defensive coordinators. Instead, Dennis Allen is good. He runs a 4-3. He's very aggressive, kind of runs a little bit of hybrid defense as well. I like it. And especially since he was a former head coach. I think that is really key, to get someone that was a former head coach that really can help Ben as he gets used to this whole head coaching gig. And I think Dennis Allen could be that guy that is great for it. But other candidates, and I'm already seeing him out there in the comments, Ron Rivera. I think Ron Rivera, I've said it, as a defensive coordinator, very good. Someone who is very well respected, and someone, former Chicago Bear, would love to see him back here. And former head coach, has been a head coach for quite some time. The only thing that I'm kind of hoping for is that as a head coach, maybe no one else wants to poach him, because they've kind of seen what Ron Rivera has done. I kind of like that. It kind of reminds me when Sean McVay became a head coach, he brought over Wade Phillips, someone who was a failed head coach, had the experience of a head coach, but was also a very highly respected defensive mind. Some other people I just want to throw out there, Robert Saleh, but Robert Saleh, it seems like his eyes are on a head coaching gig and might not actually, now that I think about it, might not actually be too good because everyone's kind of bringing him in as a head coach. So maybe he'd be gone after a year. So maybe you do want someone like like a Dennis Allen, someone that just that is probably not going to be getting a head coach look anytime soon. But then also Brandon Staley. I even throw this out there. He's a 3-4 guy, was the defensive coordinator for the Rams and was absolutely incredible. So just throwing out a couple little candidates. But let's see what y'all are saying from the defensive coordinator standpoint. Sean saying no Ron Rivera. Yeah, I see some people like him, some people don't. Yeah, he's kind of back and forth with that. Let's see what everyone's saying. Marcus saying, bring Lovey as DC. Yeah, all those possible. Only right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. He gave us all the picks. Exactly. He helped us out so much. He's got to keep on playing with us with that. Yeah, he's got to keep on helping. So, and also, yeah, there's this great defensive mind. His name is Matt Eberflus. Great beard. Does he have the beard? We can bring him back. And I like what GJC says. Yeah, Lovey gets a statue, not a job. Yeah, he does. It's like, why does he have a Texans hat on? Because that was the best thing. Yes, he brought us to a Super Bowl. Best thing he ever did. Give us the first pick in the draft, right? So, defensive coordinator, that is going to be something we're going to be watching out for. Like I said, all signs do point to Dennis Allen. It seems like that would be the hire. Yet again, if that ends up happening, I'm not going to be over the moon and be like, oh my God, Super Bowl. But it's a really good hire because he's got the experience, head coach, defensive coordinator, someone that is, and yet again, 4-3. So it's going to be a very similar system. It's going to be more translatable with the people that you already have, rather than if you bring in like a Brandon Staley, someone that runs more of that 3-4 system. You might have, we have to get rid of this person. This person doesn't fit this. So seems like more of a good type of hire right there. So let's go over to the special teams coordinator. So let's go into special teams coordinator, where yet again, I'm not a special teams guru, but I want to just bring up Darren Rizzi. Seems like he's going to be the one that probably is going to get the job. Former interim head coach for the Saints. So I actually really like that. Also, Darren Rizzi, very vocal type of a personality. I like it because yet again, he has been around Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson knows him. And if they're already talking about Allen being the defensive coordinator, you're bringing over some people that you know from the Saints. And then hey, the Saints are kind of being dismantled right now. They're getting a new coaching staff. Probably poach some of those people and put them on your defense. Now, the Saints weren't one of the greatest defenses, but they were good. So you have some good coaches you can bring in that like a Darren Rizzi from the special team side, but then also Allen on that. So let's see. And also, make sure to hit that like button, then drink. Yeah, I just have my water right next to me, but that's what I got. But let's see the last little piece, offensive coordinator, before we get into some details about Caleb Williams that I wanted to share because I haven't talked about some of it. I want to bring this up. So offensive coordinator, obviously, we do have Ben Johnson, but someone that I actually posted out, I don't have inside information on this. I want to clear that up. But someone that I know I'm looking at that I've seen out in the chat as well is Hank Fraley, the offensive line coach for the Detroit Lions. He's someone that there's so many crazy quotes out there. The offensive linemen love him. And Penei Sewell said he's just been one of those pillars for me in this organization. And there's more and more pieces that people have just been gushing about, saying this guy kind of creates this atmosphere in the offensive line room and on this offense. Sign me up for him. Sign me up for, yet again, the emphasis on the offensive line. Win in the trenches. Yeah, You can have these flashy plays and other things like that, but if you don't win in the trenches, everything else falls apart. But another piece too is that Frank Ragnow, they asked him, the center for the Lions, how would he feel if Hank Fraley were to leave the Lions? And he said, you refuse to let Hank leave. I haven't played in this league without Hank, and I don't plan on doing it. I'll sabotage him. I'll leak stories, whatever it takes. So everyone's very passionate about Hank Fraley over there at the Lions. Someone that I would like to see, because I know as Bears fans, we need new offensive line coaches. We need people that can really just kind of hold things down. But also, too, we saw this with the last coaches. Who did we keep? We kept our offensive line coach. We kept Chris Morgan, got a new offensive staff. And then all the reports that I've heard have said that, hey, there was a disconnect between between Shane Waldron and with Chris Morgan for what type of an offensive system, offensive running game that they should be running. So they kind of disagreed with one another. And I forgot who it was. It might have been like Alex Brown. It was a former player saying just how important it is to have that offensive line coach sync up and be in sync with the OC, because if you have that, then they can better coach the system, because in the running game, a lot of that has to be with the play caller and the offensive line, because it's so important in the run game. So that's something that is big, is very, very big for me. That is someone to at least keep an eye out for. We don't know too much else from the offensive coordinator perspective, but also I feel you'll probably start to see, like with Aaron Glenn, when Aaron Glenn most likely gets his head coaching job, I think you're going to start to see the Bears coaching roster kind of even out a little bit more and start to see some more jobs fill, because Aaron Glenn's probably going to want to poach some. Same thing with Ben Johnson. And then also the Lions are going to try and keep some as well. So there's going to be this giant dismantling of the Lions, who have had one of the best coaching staffs for quite some time. So it's great that now they're starting to get out there. So good stuff. So let's see. Let's go to the last little segment. I want to bring this up because with Caleb Williams, the last little bit, first off, I think that they need to do like Bear social media. If you're listening, or if anyone works with the Bears that's watching this, please have a video of Caleb Williams FaceTiming Ben Johnson. That's all I ask. I want to see that. I want to see Ben Johnson calling Caleb Williams and him being like, oh, it is you, or something like that, just to see their reactions, just to see them happy like that. That's what I want to see right now. Like, release it today. That's what needs to be there. But also too, with Caleb Williams as well, another thing that was buzzing around the internet, Caleb Williams with Ashton Jeanty, the running back from Boise State. Now, this, of course, with the Ben Johnson news and everything like that, everything starts buzzing around saying, well, are the Bears going to get Ashton Jeanty? And this is where I've also talked about this, where, hey, like I said at the very beginning, they did invest a lot in the running back position in Detroit. To me, I haven't done my full breakdown of Ashton Jeanty yet. I've obviously watched a lot of his games, but I haven't done the true breakdown. I don't think it would be worth that. But yet again, still need to do the breakdown. I think it would be a luxury. It'd be a fun pick. But yeah, depending on who's around, there's a lot of good linemen that we could be potentially adding to bolster. Like we've talked about it on the show, getting an offensive tackle would be great because, hey, you get an offensive tackle, you already have Braxton with 1 year left on his deal, so that if the tackle isn't great right off the jump, they could be playing guard, or if they're already looking great, you move Braxton in, you have the other person play tackle. Like, I love the idea of getting a tackle in the first round. So yeah, that was kind of buzzing around. And also with Caleb Williams' throwing hand, he's got a cast on it. He just had a cyst that he needed to get removed. Nothing big there, nothing crazy there. It was just an elective surgery that he's like, yeah, I'm just going to get this thing removed. So did that. Nothing to be concerned about there. So let's see what people are saying out there. But yeah, Jeanty would be, and that's where it's like Jeanty would be fun, but it's like realistically, I don't think we should. It's like drafting a punter. with some of it. Yet again, haven't watched the full Genty film. Maybe he is very, very good from what I've watched, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see out there. But yeah, if you disagree, let me know. If you're a big Ashton Genty fan, let me know. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. We got Ben Johnson, ladies and gentlemen. So if you haven't already and you're still watching out there, hit the like button. It helps out the show tremendously. Make sure to subscribe. We'll have you covered with all the stuff going on with the defensive coordinator, the offensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, everything like that, and keep you covered for the draft, keep you covered for free agency. Make sure to stay tuned. And also, everyone out there in podcast land, make sure to rate 5 stars and share it with a friend. With that, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair and